one of the things I am I had a discussion the other day. I had an older devotee friend of mine come to stay, and it really reinforced a point that I'm feel very strongly about. And you could say it's just my view, it's fine. But we have a personalist philosophy. So everything we know, Prabhupada explained that everything that exists in us, the minute particle, the mini God, the spark, everything in us as a person, in all respects of being a person, exists in Krishna in perfection unlimitedly. And we have everything little. So part of being a person is dreaming. In fact, Krishna dreams. We hear about Krishna's dreaming. Of course, everything's real for Krishna. It's not, we can do the material reflection, but we have this impersonalist tendency to, we all do. And I think it can permeate very subtly, unintentionally, unconsciously. But we can approach Krishna consciousness and, I don't know, take away some things from what is genuinely part of what we are as persons and should be using everything in Krishna's service. So when we use everything in Krishna's service, my understanding is everything. Right? And that means everything about our personhood, everything about our energies, everything about our possessions, everything about our abilities should be used in the pleasure and the service of the Guru and Krishna. True? And one of those things is dreaming, right? Thinking big, planning, fully expressing ourselves, right? In Krishna consciousness. And I think, I was talking to this devotee and I was thinking, like, yes, we know the negative. We know material dreaming, our material desires, our material efforts to be happy. Everything we did is Maya. And then when we come to Krishna consciousness, we can kind of miss out a few things, like, no, I shouldn't dream anymore. That's all Maya. I had my plans, I had my desires, and they didn't work out. And that's all for Krishna. And we kind of have to kind of reinvent desiring again. So from what I've heard from my spiritual master, even in outreach programs, is that we desire in perfection. So what does it, so impersonalists will somehow not really get into desiring anymore. In fact, get rid of desire. And I think we can do that. In Bhakti, we're kind of like a little bit beaten, we're a little bit weathered, which is good. We're a little bit fatigued from that desiring thing. We got that, but now we have to fully blossom in desire. And yes, so you could say, well, yeah, well, I'm trying to please Krishna's desires. Yeah, yeah. But how does that look in your life in this lifetime right now? How are you dreaming and desiring to please Krishna as an individual? Now, you can buy into someone's dream. Like right now, I think now Tarkanov has a dream, he has a goal, and everyone's bought into that dream, right? So that's dreaming, and he dreamed, and he had the project, and it's the inspiration when you dream, you buy into your dream, or you buy into someone else's dream that's pleasing Krishna. It creates it just creates synergy. It creates like we're in it together. We're going to fight to the end. You fully become a person when we buy into a dream. Does that mean the dream is just going to happen? Because the dream is the first part. Dreaming is easy, it's free, and then there's the full engagement as a person of dealing with setbacks, glories, ups, downs, the ins and outs. That is when we are fully engaged in Krishna's service, because we understand whatever the result is up to Krishna. But we're just fully giving everything. We're not meant to be moping around, being lethargic, being a bit of a goose, being a bit of a boohoo, being a bit of like Mr. Humble and all that. I'm just really over that, right? That's a neophyte. That's false humility. That's not mature humility. And I go back to like the six Goswamis, like, they got an order: excavate temples, reinvigorate bhakti, right, write books, right, from Lord Chaitanya. He had his desire. He gave them, it's what I want, and then they performed their desires, then matched that desire in action in a worldly time frame. Within that human time frame, they brought that huge dream down to like, what are we going to do? So they started doing that work, right? And what happened? They're the most humble schmumble of all of our acharyas, right? If you look at the six Goswamis, the epitome of like living under a tree and just being like worms in stall, but super active, non-stop effort, continually writing books, excavating temples. Like their humility, genuine spiritual humility led in just making 22 hours a day their priority to work hard. Get off. They're not boohooing around, rolling around in a worming stall. They're fully engaged in fulfilling the desires of the beloved within their own dream. So our dreams within the dream. So dreaming is my theme today. It's like buy into the dream, buy into your dream, fight for your dream, because whatever you're doing, if it's to engage in Krishna's service and to take care of yourself and to uphold yourself in the bhakti, in the boat crossing over material suffering, then fight for it, go for it. Everything should be engaged, because if not, Maya, you see, if there's any gaps, and the dream gap, I think any gaps, we're vulnerable because we're not fully engaged, are we? Right. So I'm not, I'm just kind of just trying to, the fun is in the fight. The fun is in the fight. The joy. Prabhupada was a relentless fighter, even up to his dying days. I remember watching many times the videos of Prabhupada when I was a neophyte. And Prabhupada, I remember he was basically on his deathbed, and he convinced them to lie him in the back of a car that was, they thought he was going to die, and they drove him to the airport, and he went to Bhaktivedanta Manor. He was in the field, the dream, the fight, the glory, the dream, to keep fulfilling the dream of the beloved, of his spiritual master. He didn't know what it was going to look like, but he had the vision. They gave me a vision. I buy into the vision. We're going to have this. We're going to have that. We're going to have temples. I don't know. We're just going to, he sat under the tree and he became inspired. So we meant to follow in that. We can't hold back here. Buy into the dream as a couple. When a couple buy into a dream together, they become powerful. You got to buy into the dream. Whatever you do economically, whatever you're doing, buy into the dream of how you want to live. Grihastas in particular, you design, engineer your life the way you want, how you dream. Stop copying other people. Take inspiration. Maybe copy if that inspires you, but don't be afraid to be individuals and dream for what you want. Now, part of that journey may be repairing. I've had, there's a lot of repair for us materially and mentally and emotionally, right? But keep a dream there. Okay, maybe you don't get everything you want from the dream, but when you're absorbed in the dream and you leave the results to Krishna, the dream is exciting. I'm going to go on and on fighting for this, right? So we're into fighting, and I'll give you some practical tips at the end here for those melancholies on here. I'm going to give a list of 3 things. So lists are good. I was also talking to another friend of mine. He's an outreach in Melbourne, and we've been doing stuff together for, I don't know, a long time, 15 years, something. And he gets a bit weathered down. He feels a bit despondent, even in his own community, a bit misunderstood. And I said to him, I suppose he's feeling a little bit older, and I said, don't let old age be an excuse. As soon as you start making like old age, or I'm not into it, that is when you're quitting. Like, why? But what? I said to him, at the end of the day, there's ups and downs, but as we go on, we should be developing the spiritual attitude of relentless persistence. We are not affected. Our attitude, we're not affected by what other people think. We continue, and we don't give up the fun. Like outreach and your Krishna consciousness should be fun. Even if you're stripped of everything. I heard Prabhupada today say the mercy of Krishna is that he takes everything away. When a devotee wants money, wealth, and that, he actually makes him a poor man. So we should be kind of like just excited about the fact that we still have the opportunity to go on serving, whatever that is. Fight for the dream. So I'm just encouraging dream. Prabhupada, to the very end, loved a good fight. And Juhu Beach was the classic story, if you've ever read the book. I heard the story. Prabhupada said at the end, when the gentleman died and the land was reclaimed and the wife repented from the guy who tried to rip them off, the couple, that it was a good fight. We gotta get into that spirit. So simplifying things, wrapping things up, whatever it is, just stop putting ourselves down. Stop demotivating yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. Follow the instructions of the guru. Follow and please the people around you. Please your wife, please the guru, but stay in the fight and dream and bring it down to like you. What do you want to do in the next 5-10 years? Of course, you have to develop yourself to develop a dream. You have to go through, even in the entrepreneurial world, it said you grow the person to grow the business. So whatever you dream, you're going to have to grow, because the purpose of the dream is it makes you grow. Because if you're going to fight for something, you have to grow. Yeah, you've got to stay in the fight, because then you grow. If you're not stretching yourself, you're not working towards something, you're just being comfortable, you're avoiding difficult situations. Learn to love them. I've learned to like difficulty. I wake up every day, and if it's a nice day, I'm going, something is going to come today at some point that's going to challenge me. Bring it on. I'm ready now. I've been preparing myself for over these years with you guys on here as well. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get better. And I'm not using old age as an excuse. What a cop out. Because why? You miss out on the fun. I'm not missing out on the fun. Krishna consciousness is a lot of fun, but yes, we're going to go through some what we think is a dark times as well. But they're preparing you for later. Everything is meaningful in bhakti. So dreaming, we're a person. It's okay to have a dream next year or two. What am I dreaming? Well, Krishna man proposes, God disposes. You just work to that dream, and you work to the dream, not necessarily that the dream manifests exactly as you want, but who you become on the way, and how that's absorbing you to change, to stay, to not start dreaming into Maya. Right? That's the deepest essence. If you're dreaming and you're attached to the dream and you're working towards something, then you're fully absorbed. Is this making sense? So I want to bring dreaming back to bhakti. Yeah, but understanding it with maturity at the same time. So I'll end here with three things. Three things if you want to be successful and you want to be fully engaged is: one, you need a dream. Why? What is it that you're working towards? Okay. What is it you want? Have some sort of vision you're working towards. Maybe you've got a dream for a 2-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, right? And remember, it's going to look messy. Whatever you do, the journey is going to be messy. Okay. Awesome. You can do it anyway. Okay. There is no if getting to your goal wasn't messy and hard, everyone would do it. But who's going to take up the challenge? This is who Prabhupada's looking for. Okay. So number one, what is your dream? What is your why? Right. So it might be a goal to get somewhere, but it might take getting yourself together, getting you and your partner together, or getting your achievements together first. That's the stepping stone to that. But have that dream and outcome, whether it's in therapeutic, whether it's in a job way. How are you going to be engaged in Krishna's service? Okay. 2, once you have a dream, you need a work ethic. You need habits. which we develop here in Thriving Bhakti. Develop the habit. So amongst the mess, put in those small things that you're non-negotiable that move you there. And of course, our basis is turning around, reading first. Turning around, reading Prabhupada's books, listening to Prabhupada. Right? Right? Put them in there. That's our morning. And then you have your habits towards your goals and dreams. What are you trying to build? And so your work ethic, you need a work ethic. You have a dream without a work ethic, it's just a wish. But you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to keep your work ethic going through the mess if number 3, the most important, attitude. You got to get your attitude right. You've got to create, you've got to develop, you've got to practice and bring your brain to a great attitude in all situations. So Sukham Kartam Abhyayam. Smart materialists who are not even devotees understand the power of a positive attitude in all situations. Laugh at it, like it, love it, lap it up, move on, learn, train. That attitude comes from cultivation. It comes from discipline to not allow your mind to drag you into those. And I've been there, and it's easy to go there. And I've noticed after some years of working on this, I'm starting to realize it's getting easier and easier to say, I'm not going there. No, I'm not going there. Right? It's okay for the fit to hit the sham. Okay. It's part of it. It's awesome. Right. Tamsta tiksa shibharata. It's a basic foundation of moving to the mode of being in the mode of goodness, is to allow the fit to hit the sham and go, good. Okay. How am I going to, accept that's where we naturally go, our lower modal natures, but we're not going to let this interfere. It's just part of life in this world. And it's non-devotees do this sometimes better than devotees. Okay. So goal, dream, what are you fighting for? 2, you need a work ethic and a habit you need to activate. And number 3, you need a great attitude, your fuel every day. Don't allow yourself to get into this habit of constantly beating yourself, and don't let others, including your spouse, right? Keep positive. Don't get dragged into their things. Compassion and all those things are there, and skills. So show up for yourself every day, because at the end of the day, you are only responsible for you. Mm-hmm. Recently I've just realized more and more, I just not getting caught up in people's problems. I don't get caught up in people's trips. I can, once you start know who you are and stop caring about what we think other people think. Just stop it. Who cares? Be relentless. Know who you are, what you're fighting for. Be confident. Utsaha, confidence means you know who you are, you know what you're fighting for, and nothing is going to get in your way. Okay, that's it. Not arrogance. So that's my there's a nice quote I'll end with. If you know your why, you become a weapon. There's a nice phrase from a masterclass we went to recently. When you really know what you're aiming towards, you're a weapon. All right. So that's our little mindset shift. I hope that got something out of that. It's a continuum. We're always students. We're always improving. My attitude is not always 100%, but it's definitely getting better by training and showing up here and being in this environment, learning and growing.